YHVH, or Ezekiel, chapters 32 through 34. And it came to be in the 12th year, in the 12th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, that the word of YHVH came to me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation for Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, and you shall say to him, You were like a young lion among the nations, and you are like a monster in the seas, and you burst forth in your rivers, and trouble the waters with your feet, and muddy their rivers. Thus said Master YHVH, and I shall spread my net over you with an assembly of many peoples, and they shall bring you up in my net, and I shall leave you on the land, hurl you out on the open fields, and make all the birds of the heavens dwell on you. And with you I shall satisfy the beasts of all the earth. And I shall put your flesh on the mountains, and fill the valleys with your height, and water the land with the flow of your blood unto the mountains, and let the streams be filled with you. And when I extinguish you, I shall cover the heavens and make its stars dark. I shall cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of the heavens I shall make dark over you, and I shall bring darkness upon your land, declares the Master YHVH. And I shall trouble the hearts of many peoples when I bring your destruction among the nations, into the lands which you have not known. And I shall make many peoples appalled at you, and their sovereigns shall be greatly afraid of you when I swing my sword before them, and they shall tremble continually, every man for his own life, in the day of your fall. For thus said the Master YHVH, the sword of the sovereign of Babel shall come upon you. By the swords of the mighty men, all of them the ruthless ones of the nations, I shall make your host fall, and they shall ravage the arrogance of Mitzrayim, and all its host shall be destroyed. And I shall destroy all its beasts from beside its great waters, and let the foot of man trouble them no more, nor let the hooves of beasts trouble them. Then I shall make their waters clear, and make their rivers run like oil, declares the Master YHVH. When I lay the land of Mitzrayim waste, and the land shall be stripped of all that once filled it, when I have stricken all who dwell in it, then they shall know that I am YHVH. This is the lamentation, and they shall lament her. The daughters of the nations lament her. Over Mitzrayim and over all her crowd they shall lament her, declares the Master YHVH. And it came to be in the 12th year, on the 15th of the new moon, that the word of YHVH came to me, saying, Son of man, wail over the crowd of Mitzrayim, and send them down to the depths of the earth, her and the daughters of the mighty nations, with those going down to the pit. Are you more pleasant than others? Go down, be placed with the uncircumcised. In the midst of those slain by the sword they fall. She shall be given to the sword, drawing her and all her crowds. The mightiest among the mighty speak to him out of the midst of Sheol, with those who help him. They have gone down, they lie with the uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Asher is there, and all her assembly, with her burial sites all around her, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, whose burial sites are set in the sides of the pit, and her assembly is all around her burial place, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, because they instilled fear in the land of the living. And there is Elam and all her crowd around her burial place, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, who have gone down uncircumcised to the lower parts of the earth, because they instilled fear in the land of the living. And they bear their shame with those going down to the pit. They have set her bed in the midst of the slain, with all her crowd, with her burial sites all around her, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, for the fear they instilled in the land of the living. So they bear their shame with those going down to the pit. In the midst of the slain, they have been placed. There are Meshach and Tubal and all her crowd, all with their burial sites all around it, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, because they instilled fear in the land of the living. And they shall not lie with the mighty who are fallen of the uncircumcised, who have gone down to Sheol with their battle gear, and whose swords were laid under their heads. But their crookednesses are on their bones, because of the fear of the mighty in the land of the living. And you shall be broken in the midst of the uncircumcised, and lie with those slain by the sword. There is Edom, her sovereigns and all her princes, who shall be given up in their might, with those slain by the sword. With the uncircumcised they lie, and with those going down to the pit. There are the princes of the north, all of them, all the Sidonians, who have gone down with the slain because of the fear they instilled. They are ashamed of their might, and they lie uncircumcised with those slain by the sword, and bear their shame with those going down to the pit. Pharaoh and all his army shall see them, and he shall be comforted for all his host that were slain by the sword, declares the Master Yehovah. For I have put a fear of him in the land of the living, yet he shall be placed in the midst of the uncircumcised with those slain by the sword, Pharaoh and all his host, declares the Master Yehovah. Chapter 33. And the word of Yehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of your people, and you shall say to them, when I bring the sword upon a land, and the people of the land shall take a man from their borders, and shall make him their watchman, and he sees the sword coming upon the land, and shall blow with the shofar, and shall warn the people, then whoever shall hear the voice of the shofar, and shall not take warning, if the sword comes and takes him away, his blood is on his own head. He heard the voice of the shofar, but he did not take warning. His blood's on himself. But he who takes warning shall deliver his being. But if the watchman sees the sword coming and shall not blow with the shofar, and the people shall not be warned, and the sword comes and takes any being from among them, he is taken away in his crookedness, and in his blood I require at the watchman's hand. And you, son of man, I've made you a watchman for the house of Israel, and you shall hear a word from my mouth, and you shall warn them for me. When I say to the wrong, O wrong one, you shall certainly die, and you have not spoken to warn the wrong from his way, that wrong one shall die in his crookedness, and his blood I require at your hand. But when you have warned the wrong to turn from his way, and he has not turned from his way, he shall die in his crookedness, but you will have delivered your being. And you, son of man, say to the house of Israel, this is what you have said. If our transgressions and our sins lie upon us, and we pine away in them, how then shall we live? Say to them, as I live, declares Master Yehovah, I have no pleasure in the death of the wrong, but that the wrong turn from his way and live. Turn back from your evil ways. For why should you die, O house of Israel? And you, son of man, say to the children of your people, the righteousness of the righteous man shall not deliver him in the day of his transgression. And as for the wrongness of the wrong, he shall not stumble because of it in the day that he turns from wrong. And the righteous shall not be able to live because of his righteousness in the day that he sins. When I say to the righteous that he shall live, and he has trusted his righteousness, and shall then do unrighteousness, none of his righteousness shall be remembered, but because of his unrighteousness that he's done, he shall die. Again, when I say to the wrong, you shall certainly die, if he turns from his sin and does right and righteousness, if the wrong restores the pledge, gives back what he's stolen, and walks in the laws of life without doing crookedness, he shall certainly live, he shall not die. None of his sins which he has committed shall be remembered against him. He has done right and righteousness, he shall certainly live. And the children of your people have said, the way of Yehovah is not fair. But it is their way which is not fair. When the righteous turns from his righteousness and does unrighteousness, he'll die because of it. But when the wrong turns from his wrongness and does right and righteousness, he shall live because of it. And you have said, the way of Yehovah is not fair. O house of Israel, I shall judge every one of you according to his own ways. And it came to be in the 12th year of our exile, in the 10th month, on the 5th of the new moon, that one who had escaped from Jerusalem came to me and said, the city's been stricken. And the hand of Yehovah came upon me the evening before the man came who had escaped. And he opened my mouth before he came to me in the morning. And my mouth was open, and I was no longer silent. The word of Yehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, they who inhabit those ruins in the land of Israel are saying, Abraham was only one, and he inherited the land, but we are many. Let the land be given to us as a possession. Therefore say to them, Thus said the Master Yehovah, you eat meat with blood, and you lift up your eyes toward your idols and shed blood. Should you then possess the land? You depend on your sword, and you commit abominations, and each of you defiles his neighbor's wife. Should you then possess the land? Say this to them. Thus said the Master Yehovah, as I live, those who are in the ruins shall fall by the sword, and the one who is in the open field I shall give to the beasts to be devoured, and those who are in the strongholds and caves shall die of the pestilence. And I shall make the land a desert and a waste. The arrogance of her strength shall cease, and the mountains of Israel shall be a waste, with none passing through. And they shall know that I am Yehovah, when I have made the land a desert and a waste, because of all their abominations which they've done. As for you, son of man, the children of your people are talking about you beside the walls and in the doors of the houses. And they speak to each other, saying to his brother, Please come and hear what the word is that comes from Yehovah. And they come to you as people do, and they sit before you as my people, and they hear your words, but they do not do them. For it's with their mouth they show much love. Their hearts pursue their greedy gain. And see, you are to them as a very lovely song of one who has a beautiful voice and playing well on an instrument. And they hear your words, but they do not do them. And when it comes, see, it shall come. Then they shall know that a prophet's been in their midst. Chapter 34. And the word of Yehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, Thus said the Master Yehovah to the shepherds, Woe to the shepherds of Israel who have been feeding themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? You eat the fat, and you put on the wool. You slaughter the fatlings. You do not feed the flock. You have not strengthened the weak. nor have you healed the sick, nor bound up the broken, nor brought back the straying, nor sought what was lost. But you ruled them with might and harshness. And they were scattered because there was no shepherd, and they became food for all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains and on every high hill. And my sheep were scattered over all the face of the earth, and no one was seeking or searching for them. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of Yehovah. As I live, declares the Master Yehovah, because my flock became a prey, and my flock became food for every beast of the field from not having a shepherd, and my shepherds did not search for my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves, did not feed my flock. Therefore, O shepherds, hear the word of Yehovah. Thus said the Master Yehovah, see, I am against the shepherds, and shall require my flock at their hand, and shall make them cease feeding the sheep, and the shepherds shall feed themselves no more. And I shall deliver my flock from their mouths, and they shall no longer be food for them. For thus said the Master Yehovah, see, I myself search for my sheep and seek them out. As the shepherd seeks out his flock on the day he is among his scattered sheep, so I shall seek out my sheep and deliver them from all the places where they were scattered in a day of cloud and thick darkness. And I shall bring them out from the peoples and gather them from the lands, and shall bring them to their own land. And I shall feed them on the mountains of Israel, in the valleys, and in all the dwellings of the land. In good pasture I shall feed them, and their fold shall be on the high mountains of Israel. They shall lie there in a good fold, and feed in rich pasture on the mountains of Israel. I shall feed my flock and make them lie down, declares the Master Yehovah. I shall seek out the lost and bring back the strayed. I shall bind up the broken and strengthen what was sick. But the fat and the strong I shall destroy. I shall feed them with right ruling. And as for you, O my flock, thus said the Master Yehovah, see, I am judging between sheep and sheep, between rams and goats. It's not enough for you to have eaten up the good pasture, and the rest of your pasture you trample with your feet, or that you should drink of the clear waters, and the rest you muddy with your feet. And as for my flock, they eat what you have trampled with your feet, and they drink what you've muddied with your feet. Therefore, thus said the Master Yehovah to them, see, I myself shall judge between the fat sheep and the lean sheep. Because you've pushed with flank and shoulder and thrust at all the weak ones with your horns and scattered them abroad, therefore I shall save my flock and let them no longer be prey. And I shall judge between sheep and sheep. And I shall raise up over them one shepherd, my servant Dawid, and he shall feed them. He shall feed them and be their shepherd. And I, Yehovah, shall be their Elohim, and my servant Dawid, a prince in their midst. I, Yehovah, have spoken. And I shall make a covenant of peace with them, and make evil beasts cease from the land. And they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the forest. And I shall make them and the places all around my hill a blessing, and shall cause showers to come down in their season, showers of blessing they are. And the trees of the field shall yield their fruit, and the earth yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land. And they shall know that I am Yehovah, when I've broken the bars of their yoke, and I shall deliver them from the hand of those who enslaved them, and they shall no longer be prey for the nations, and the beast of the earth shall not devour them, and they shall dwell safely, with no one to make them afraid. And I shall raise up for them a planting place of name, and they shall no longer be consumed by hunger in the land, nor bear the shame of the nations any more. And they shall know that I, Yehovah, their Elohim, am with them, and that they, the house of Israel, are my people, declares the Master Yehovah. And you, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your Elohim, declares the Master Yehovah.